wingman of all times, Jay Jacobson, he said it best, that passion is what drives our game, and the families involved in our game. I want you to know I'm very privileged to still teach officials. I teach in the officiating development program, and this is a great gift that I'm still able to teach about the passion of our game. For those few here that don't know about hockey, hockey's a game that you have to have a skill before you can have any skill. You have to work on your skating. It's not like riding a bike. So no matter what you're going to do as a coach, as a player, as an official, you have to have a skill, maintain that skill, be dedicated to that skill before you can do anything else. This is a great gift, not this, the room in front of me. Because as I tell the kids today that have to deal with the business end of our game, and I tell some people who are good hockey people who are coaches and thinking of quitting, or administrators that are thinking of quitting, and the reason why is because it's become a business. And unfortunately the kids I train today have to put up with that political side of the game. And the greatest gift is to see the people that have came up here tonight and talked about what our game is really about. And that is all of these folks that you heard, the time that they were here at the rink, the memories they had. So many kids today don't have that. So many kids don't have people involved that would put in the time, the volunteer time at their local rink. And that is what our game's about. Unfortunately, I've also had to go to many meetings in my life about hockey. My good friend Norm there, a much more pleasant and patient man than I, still does. I unfortunately can't go to many meetings that he goes to because most of the people there are extremely flexible because they can pat themselves on the back so easily while they don't do anything. Norm and Holly Spiegel, right there, two people that put in countless hours and would tell anybody straight out what the story was. No games played, helped thousands of kids play hockey. No political power, just plain dedication to our game. Without a doubt, there's a gift right there, just to be in the same room with those folks. Of course, I played in front of Keith for many years. Great goaltender. He made all my mistakes look good. And his mother, God, she was great. And she just was great for all those people in that league. Of course, as Steve, and Sue mentioned all the memories here, Sue is an absolutely tremendous individual. And you couldn't print up enough of these pages about so many of these folks. But the work that Sue did with children, and the work that she would do with Stan Nikita's class, and the way she treated every individual, even somebody who was a little hard-edged like myself, I'll tell you, she is just a wonderful person. Absolutely. And our game was the better when she was involved. Gary Como, I signed up for officiating. I started in 1970 because they used to have very good suspensions in those days. When you got suspended, you didn't get a match penalty, 30 days, have a meeting, your probation for 8 years, whatever they do now. So if you got suspended for doing something, they would suspend you and that's it. You take out the garbage of the rink for a week, or, you clean up the toilets for a week. Well, mine was I had to officiate 3 hockey games. In those days, they didn't have enough officials at Rainbow. It was just on a clipboard. You sign up, just to see who could do it. And that's how I started as an official, because I had to do it. I went out there, nothing on, thought, who the hell can't do this? Well, I found out pretty quick. And a lot of the guys I was cursing at helped me. And then when I joined IHOA in 1972, they had about 200 members. And, sorry? Well, I've got right, probably 100. And in 1972, and I have to tell you, in 1972, there were 20 men, and I can name them all now, but except for Gary and myself, very few would remember them. There was 20 guys who could do any game in this state, anytime, anywhere. Might to the old stadium. Great people, absolutely tremendous people. A lot of people that would look me in the face and say, I just don't like you. You're a pretty good official, but I don't like you. I don't like the way you are. Because they would say it right up. Gary Como's that type of guy. And Gary Como was one of those guys who could do any game, any place, any time. And he'd tell anybody if they asked him a question exactly what was on his mind. And I'll tell you, Illinois now has 1,400 officials, and I can't think of one that could do any game, any time, any place. We have some very good officials who are working high levels, but they could never do kids hockey. And we have some very good kids hockey officials, and they could never do high levels. But at that time, that's how good those guys were. I mentioned Jay. Jay bailed me out of so many situations, and we fought like the wife and wife we were, because we were both high maintenance and still are. Jay Jacobs was also in charge of the International Hockey League, and he got a lot of guys opportunities. I was out of the game for about 10 or 11 years, and I came back, and 4 of the guys that I got opportunities for were still lining the games for the Wolves. And with the exception of Jay, 3 of those guys, either Jay and I had gotten the opportunity. I asked those guys, well, who have you gotten in? What guys have you gotten in? Like Jay or myself. They had gotten in no one because they wanted the games for themselves. Not this kid. This kid got all sorts of people's opportunities when he could have taken all the glory for himself. Without him, you don't have Andy McElliman working on 21 years in the National Hockey League. Because he got him back into officiating after he bombed out as a referee, and he restarted. That's the kind of guy he is.
Well, I lost track of you, Joe, after we left Rainbow Arena.
Well, that's okay. I kind of lost track of myself there, too. Bottom line is, in this building, it was very interesting. AHI was formed just a few months, and I was their first suspension. It was right in. I got a suspension, and of course it was for one of the officials ended up in the net. I don't know, but he couldn't then get out of the net because somebody was standing in his way and using his skate to keep him in there. But what happened was the official, one of our guys got clipped, and I go up to him. I said, "Sir, I'm the captain." And I was wondering why, no penalty was assessed. And he says, "Hey, look, you coon. The only reason I'm out here is 20 reasons. I got George Washington on him." So of course we got scored on, and he goes to get the puck, and that's where he stayed. So we had our first suspension meeting here. Norm wasn't here, but there was a very nice lady who, when I told her that story, I was felt very bad, and I told her I would clean the rink or something. And so it was nice. I got a 2-year probation for that because the official was known as a pretty much of a jerk. So that was good. So I have a lot of memories here, but the coaches that stood up here, I don't know the 2 gentlemen that Steve introduced so well as I know Coach Condon. Coach Condon here, I met him at Rainbow Arena when I was down there starting out, 1968 or so, I think. Probably met him in the 70s, but I was at Rainbow in 68. I was also the night we turned the compressors off for the last time, 1982. Mm-hmm. John Presto and I threw the switch and we turned the compressors off. But now these guys here dedicated thousands of hours for thousands of kids. And today's game, you have $200, $300 hockey sticks. You also have $900 skates, and you also have all the coaches get paid. Not one of these guys got anything. If maybe they got a bottle of Crown Royal at the end of the season. Thanks, Coach. And they came back, and they continue to come back every year because they love our game. And there's one coach that before me should certainly be on this list. And that's this kid right there. I'll tell you that. Everything that's good in this room is wrapped up in that kid right there. Because every kid that I've ever seen in this building's happy. Just like Sue Barron, they treat every kid that there's something to learn about the tradition of our game, about the passion of our game, about what it is to be involved in our game. And this kid and his wonderful family, I can't tell you how proud I am of him. So, I certainly appreciate this. Has been a great gift. Again, not this, but just being able to spend an evening with people like you. Because you make our game the great, great tradition that it is.